Hi, this is Johnny, your friendly local realtor. Welcome to the January 2021 market report. I hope you started off the new year with a good start and still going strong with your New Year's resolution. Other than the still ongoing pandemic, lots of things have already started happening this year, and as far as the real estate market, we're beginning to hear some troublesome news. And it's news about imminent housing crash due to rapidly rising home prices. Today, we're going to look at this in detail and also find out what we should expect in the housing market for the rest of the year. So let's start out by looking at this chart. You might remember this chart from my market report back in March and April during the onset of pandemic when I said recession does not equal housing crisis. Now, since we're done with 2020, this is what actually happened. The home price changed during the last 6 recessions. As you see, we had 7.3% appreciation in home price last year. Now, is this a good thing? Of course. But now we're in a position to start worrying about rapidly rising home prices. People are starting to question about a bubble and whether we can sustain the current speed of appreciation. This is understandable because this is what Craig Lazara said on the most recent Case-Shiller report. Housing prices were notably, I am tempted to say, very strong in September. The National Composite Index gained 7% relative to its level a year ago. That's 7% appreciation. Our 3 monthly readings since June of this year have all shown accelerating growth in home prices, and September's results are quite strong. So let's get some perspective here. If we go back to 1991 and look at compound annual home price appreciation rate, we can see that the average rate was at 3.8. And if we look at 2012, it was much higher at 6.1. So if we look at 3.8% 30 years ago and what Craig Lazara said now at 7%, it's quite a big jump. 7% might not seem much from 2012, but still, we're higher than 2012. Now there's a reason why 2012 appreciation rate is being used as a comparison. I'll explain it in the next chart. Let's say we use historic appreciation rate of 3.8 starting 2000 and pretend we had 3.8% appreciation every year up to now. And this is what the graph would look like. No ups and downs, just a smooth, consistent slope indicating appreciation for 20 years. Now let's compare this to what actually happened. Here you see how the home prices appreciated rapidly in early 2000 and depreciates just as rapidly through the housing crash bottoming out at 2012. And where are we right now? We see that we have outpaced the historic appreciation of 2020, looking similar to where we were around 2004. Of course, we need to keep this in check, but I want to shed some light to why we're in this position right now. And mainly, it has to do with the number of inventory versus home prices. Looking back last 10 years, you can see as the supply of homes go down, the prices rose. And now at record low inventory across the country, there are many factors that are driving the prices up. Mainly, low interest rate fueling buyer demand and people moving to rural areas due to COVID all result in lack of supply and puts upward pressure on prices. NAR's chief economist Lawrence Yun brings us more insight. He said, such a frenzy of activity reminiscent of 2006 raises question about a bubble and potential for a painful crash. The answer? There is no comparison. Back in 2006, dubious adjustable rate mortgages taxed many buyers' budgets. Some loans didn't even require income documentation. Today, buyers are taking out 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. 14 years ago, there were 3.8 million homes listed for sale, and home builders were putting up about 2 million new units. Now, inventory is about 1.5 million homes, and home builders are underproducing relative to its historical averages. So today, we're in a very different scenario. We're in an undersupplied market and in a different lending environment. But of course, we still have to continue to keep our eyes on the appreciating home prices. Another headline that we're seeing relative to this is soaring mortgage debt in the country nearing $10 trillion. Is this something that we should start to worry? First, home prices appreciating at unsustainable rate and now this? Because this is what Federal Reserve Bank said. Mortgage balances, the largest component of household debt, rose by $85 billion in the third quarter and set at $9.86 trillion on September 30th. Mortgage originations, which include refinances, were at $1.05 trillion, the second highest volume in the history of the series, and second only to the historic refinance boom in the third quarter 2003. So as we start to see these refinances come in, there will be more volume, which equals to more mortgage debt. And of course, as more homes are built and those homes appreciate in value, and more homes are sold, mortgage debt is obviously going to rise. So I hope this will give you some perspective as to why there's not going to be a housing crash despite rapidly rising home prices and large amount of rising mortgage debt. Now let's talk about what's expected for 2021. For many people, it may be a little blurry right now, but I would like to make that path a little clearer by giving you what the experts are saying. I have a quote here from David Milley, the president of Homes.com. He said, "The surge in work-from-home population has rewritten the playbook for many home buying and rental decisions, from when and where to relocate to what people are looking for in their next residence." Now, we all know this is true. Lots of people don't have to be in the office 5 days a week because they're working remotely from home. And this recent surge certainly has affected people's home buying decisions. And as we continue into 2021 and working at home becomes more prominent, it will become more clear for people to make that real estate decisions. Let's see what Mark Fleming from First American said about inventories. Despite the best of intentions of home builders to provide more housing supply, the big short in housing supply will continue into 2021 and likely keep house price appreciation flying high. So we know builders are building and their confidence is high, and they're certainly bringing more inventories in the market, but it's still not enough to meet the current demand. And this will continue to keep that upward pressure on home prices across the country this year. Speaking of home price appreciation, let's look at the latest home price forecast by the experts. We see here anywhere from 2 to 6%, and if you compare from 2020's appreciation of 7.3, they're calling for a little less appreciation this year. This is because we'll have more inventories coming into the market, whether it be from the builders, people feeling safer to put homes in the market this year than last year, or people affected by the pandemic that may need to sell their home. So overall, we'll have more inventories this year, but still not enough to keep up with the current demand. Now let's talk about mortgage rates. According to MBA, Treasury rates have been really moving up since the election, but mortgage rates have been kept going down. Now this is because the federal government is pinning down the mortgage rates by being hugely influential in the secondary bond market. Fratantoni continues by saying, "We're going to start to see mortgage rates drift up with Treasury rates as opposed to moving in the opposite direction." Now, I don't have the exact figures and time for that being happening in the future, but we know as the economy improves, rates will eventually rise. Lastly, let me bring in a little perspective here and show you what the differences are with different interest rates. Today, if we take a $300,000 mortgage at 30-year fixed rate of 2.7%, the monthly principal and interest payment is $1,200. Now, if we take the fourth quarter 2021 estimate by Realtor.com of 5.7% appreciation and 3.4% interest rate, the mortgage is now $317,000. This equates to $1,400 in monthly payments, a difference of $190 or almost $200. This is a shock to most people when they see this. Now, if you ask the experts what drove the home ownership in 2020, they say people's needs have changed and they were able to do something about that because of the low rates. But as we go forward, those aren't going to hang around forever. We know that affordability will begin to become an issue as rates rise as well as homes appreciate. Now, in a historic sense, 3.4% rate is a great rate, but coming out of 2.7% that we have now, that shock of almost $200 a month is very real. Well, this is all I have for you today, and I hope you found it helpful. As we move forward in 2021, there are many changes up ahead, and I hope you make wise and competent real estate decisions for you and your family. If you have any questions about what we covered today or have any real estate related questions, please give me a holler. Hope you stay safe and healthy, and see you next time. Goodbye.